Hi guys, this is my friend Rachel Hinds, or like I call her Ray. Say hi, Rachel. Ray.
Hey, I'm Ray or Rachel Hinds. All of those work.
All those things work.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I met Ray a couple years ago doing, it was like 3 years ago now, building domes in Hawaii, and Ray and her husband Neer are starting this. It's like what do you call it? It's called Chicheck, and it's like really awesome. But okay, you explain what it is, Ray.
Yes, that sounds great. It's called Chicheck, and it's basically the simplest way to talk about it is to say it's an online platform for holistic practitioners to offer their work online. So it goes beyond a marketplace, meaning you really could host your entire practice online. So you can have your schedule, you get to send your clients intake forms, remedies, write them notes, write them messages, kind of all in one place, which myself as a practitioner, that has been super relieving. Like we basically designed it for me, and then we thought, well, more people would like this, and wouldn't it be cool if a client could come and have all of their holistic health needs in one place, meaning you could get your whole care team from Chicheck. So you could have your herbalist, you could have your acupuncturist, your nutritionist, all on one site and all supporting you in the whatever health journey you're in.
Yeah, so you guys even started this before the pandemic, so that's like really cool. Like you guys had some foresight going on there. But
Yeah.
I like when you guys first started, it was like a tongue, like you take a picture of your tongue, and then it was like,
Yes.
yeah. And then now I know
Yes.
you're offering like Ayurvedic, and so like there's a bunch of different, like, would you call it alternative health, or like would you say it's like a way for alternative health practitioners, or yeah.
We've been calling it holistic health, but also called alternative health. I mean, I think in that word, like alternative to what,
Right, I guess, yeah.
holistic health has been so
Your
long.
insurance probably won't cover it. Other than that, like,
Yeah, exactly. But it's true that it did stem from Neer specifically. I was training in Ayurveda, and Neer was super amazed about what you could learn holistically from the tongue. So he was like, whoa, you can learn about your organ health, you can learn about your liver, your heart, your childhood trauma, like, and he's such a technology person. He's like, I want that in an app.
Yeah, so he's a programmer and he's amazing. He does things like super fast. And he was like, Nikki, send me a picture of your tongue. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, for what? And he was like, I need you to be one of my guinea pigs. And I was like, okay. Like super self-conscious about like, what are you gonna find out about my liver from the,
Which is totally true. Ayurvedically, they really teach like, okay, you have to, when you ask someone to show you their tongue, it's actually really vulnerable. And as a practitioner, like somewhere in our subconscious, we're kind of like laying it out to the observer, right? And so how to just navigate getting comfortable with tongues and holding a neutral space for whatever you see there.
Well, it's like I've done like a basic Ayurvedic intro class, and I mean even like the white parts of your eyes or like your fingernails, like they're like so much of our body tells a story about our overall health. And like your nails, like if you have like ridges or you have those little white calcium things, or like what, I mean, a lot of stuff's going on there, and you're kind of going, I'm kind of going like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm ready to show you
like,
about my health.
But no, I think it's really cool that so like about like so gonna be a technical passenger, or not passenger, we call it like a client person. So if I was a client, would I be able to pick my, like, how does it work? Walk me through like how it works. And if you're a practitioner and you want to get on the database, how do both sides work? If I'm a person who wants my chi checked, or if I'm a person who wants to check chi,
Wonderful. That was a great segue. Wonderful. So, okay, great. The easiest is a practitioner. You could be a practitioner. You just sign up. For 3 clients, it's free. And otherwise, we have 2 packages. The premier is $35 and the other is $10. So whatever, based on your practice is where you're going to fall in one of those practices. And you sign up and you can host clients. So if I already am a holistic practitioner and I have clients, I can just host them on the site and they get all the features. We get to schedule through there, and it just makes my practice easy. The higher packages also allow you as a practitioner to get leads. So there's also tools like the tongue picture or different health assessments, Ayurvedic dosha quiz, and a few other health checks that will generate leads for practitioners. So it's also a place that practitioners can get new clients. And then on the client side, it is multiple things. You could take one of our checks and kind of get a recommendation for a practitioner or multiple practitioners. You could sign up for a holistic care plan for the year or for 3 months. And that would really allow you to work with the same practitioners over the course of a year. Or of course, you can just browse the practitioners that have public profiles, see what you need, type in Ayurvedic practitioner and find a wealth of people that could help you with Ayurvedic lens.
Okay, so are you still doulaing it up? Like Ray was a doula for a bit. Like what's going on with that? Are you still a doula?
I'm still a doula and I love birth. It's one of my birth and women's health, but birth, especially at the moment, is blowing my mind. I was like, we just create life and birth it into existence. This is crazy. And I think quite an initiative process for women or for anybody giving birth, and one that's very under supported in the spiritual journey that is. Initiative journey.
I've recently I'm 38. I've never had a kid, but like, whatever. I used to say when I was like in high school, I'd be like, I'm not going to have a kid till I'm 40.
Oh my God.
I want to do stuff until I'm 40, and then I'm going to pop out a baby at 40. So we'll see if that actually happens. I don't know about that.
You can call me. I'll help you.
I will totally. Like, you have the most calming energy in the world. I'll be like, Ray, is it normal? Is it dying? But anyway, one of my good friends who I actually just traveled with this weekend, she used a doula, and she said it was like the best $1,000 she's ever spent in her entire life. And I mean, because she said that it was, she just she said she would describe it as a birth coach. It's like somebody who walks you through everything that you need to know, like what's normal, what's not normal, like really holding your hand through the whole entire process. And that, so she's like my 3rd or 4th friend now that has used one, and they all swear by them. So, I mean, I think, how did you even get on that path? And how are you gonna, you should put that in with Chicheck. That should be a thing.
Oh yeah. Yes. It's listed on my profile. Right now it's listed mostly just as virtual support, but I wanted to say something about, you mentioned something like, it's like having someone hold your hand. And I think that's really true. Like, we don't grow up learning about birth most of the time, unless your mom was a nurse or maybe a midwife or something. And so I think a lot of people reach birth time. They know they want a family, they get pregnant, they're really excited, but actually what the medical complex around birth is actually a lot to navigate. And having a doula really helps you navigate that, but then B, in most practices, you're seeing like multiple doctors. Each visit, you're seeing a different nurse. And so a doula really offers this like consistent person through that process that you get to really dive in with and trust. And they often are the person in the birth room that you've seen the most, right? Like, you probably haven't met that nurse before, you haven't met the doctor, which is all okay, but it is a very intimate moment that you're meeting a bunch of new people in the hospital. And so
right.
I think having a familiar face that also knows the lay of the terrain is super valuable. And I'm really happy to hear your girlfriends liked it so much, because that's good news for doulas. I think more people should have them.
Yeah, I mean, if ever I cross that road, I totally will get one. And if I'm in your vicinity, I will get you. And if I'm not in your vicinity, then I'll be like, Ray, I'm paying for you to come my 9th month. Come out here, wherever I'm at. I don't care. Yeah, but I mean,
totally do that. I would come.
You totally would have to come, because like it is something that we teach, we treat so clinically, but like, and my friend was even saying that her husband was just kind of like deer in the headlights during the entire birthing process. And she said, like, thank God for my doula, because her mother wasn't in town. She didn't have any, like, she's like, I needed like the kind of support that he didn't know how to give at that point. And then she was like, and I was just like, she said it was like the most foreign thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. And so it was super comforting. So,
and the father is also going through their own journey, right? Like, they've never seen birth before. They're having their own process of their child being birthed. Like, I think their role should be the one that's like supportive and close, but without really much responsibility. And that is where I see fathers really thrive, or partners, where they get to be in support, but they don't have to know everything, especially if they don't know it.
Right. And if you've never had this before, like, how would you?
Right.
So, okay. So a couple of things. One thing, remember that time when you put that dough around my eye and that ghee in my eyeballs?
Yes.
That was cool. What was that?
That was called a Netra Basti. It's an Ayurvedic technique. And for all the listeners who don't know what Ayurveda is, it's just the Indian form of medicine, and it means the science of longevity. It's one of the oldest medical systems in the world. It stems from a very similar place of yoga, but kind of branches off. And Netra Basti is one of the treatments. It's very focused on body work and the body, but Netra Basti is something where you take dough, which is basically just flour and water, and you roll it into these molds that you then place on your eyes, one at a time. But if they were to both be on your eyes, you'd look quite like a raccoon.
Yeah.
And then the process is pouring warm ghee into the eye, and it serves, you kind of leave it in there for somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes. So you can literally open your eye into the ghee.
And I was opening it, and then Ray was massaging my eye, and there was like bubbles coming out of my eyeball. I was like, what's happening here? And it looked very like you're looking through the oil, and it's like completely blurry or whatever. Everything was like a fog. And
kind of golden.
And like a golden fog. But at the same time, I have to say, afterwards, I was like, I felt like my eyes were sparkling and that I could see everything clearly. And I was like, if I could shoot laser beams out of my eyes, I would have. I was like totally like a superhero afterwards. So it was a really cool cleanse. I would say it was like a detoxifying experience.
Totally. It totally can pull out kind of junk. Think about it. Things can get stuck back there. More, I think the thing I've seen it most support is dryness, like people who have deep, severe eye dryness or allergies, and just really like a deep oil massage for the eyes. Like how else do we get oil? But it also can trickle back into the sinuses and the brain. And Ayurveda is a lot about oil and nourishment and hydration. And so it's like a double whammy. And it's, at the end of the day, it just feels good. It's a unique experience.
I'm a big, like, I'm an oil puller. Like people were always like, oh, your teeth are so white. And I'm like, coconut oil, baby. Every day. Like I swear by coconut oil pulling, and I've been doing it for, I do whiten my teeth, like with those Crest whitening strips, like a year, but I don't even do the whole package. I mean, how I maintain my whiteness is coconut oil. I do it like at least 2 or 3 times a week. Just love it. Sometimes
that's really good dental care.
Oh yeah, and my dentist always like, look at this. You can poke her gums and nothing happens. Coconut oil, babies. That's what it is. 100%.
I feel like not horrible, but I have a weird thing with keeping oil in my mouth. And Ayurvedically, that's like an amazing practice, but I haven't yet been able to do it.
When I first started, like, I started in my mid-20s. I was 38 now. I was probably like, I don't know. So I was like 25, maybe 24 when I started, because I had an aunt who was like showing us how to do it. And I thought it was like wackadoodle at the time, but I was like, let me just try it. And I was kind of impressed because I could keep it for over 5 minutes, because my cousin was like, oh, like 1 minute and then you'll be grossed out and you'll want to spit it out. And I was like, well, how long are you supposed to keep it in there? And she's like, apparently you're supposed to keep it in 20 minutes. She's like, but I can only go about 5 minutes. And I was like, all right, let's try this. And then I was like, all right, 5 minutes, no big deal. Eventually I got bored, I spit out. Now it's like at 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, do I have to spit it out? I don't want to spit it out. It makes me shut up. It makes me be quiet. Like I put a thing of I put a thing of coconut oil in my mouth before I get like in the shower. I'll do my whole thing. Really makes me work on my nose breathing, you know, because you got a mouth full of oil, you can't do that much with it, you know. And then I don't do it when I travel. That's, you know, like if I'm flying or if I'm going everywhere.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, sorry.
You're back.
Yeah, this connection's a little bit meh today, so sorry about that. But yeah, okay. But anyway, I just do it when I'm like days that I'm actually home. And yeah, I don't know, I swear by it. But then there's other things, like I'm a big neti pot person. That's Ayurvedic. I'm also like, I put honey all over my face as a mask, and I put like yogurt, avocado, bananas, all that stuff's Ayurvedic. I love Ayurvedic. It's a great thing. Are you there, Ray? Okay, it's back.
You're back.
I was about to call you and be like, Ray, what's going on?
Here we are. I think you were saying something amazing.
Oh, I hope that recorded that amazing thing, because I could hear myself, but I don't know if I did. Anyway, I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I was saying some stuff about like Ayurvedic practices and how there's a lot of them that we should incorporate into our life, and I would love to learn and do more. And yeah, so anyway, Chicheck is super cool. I think, am I still on there as a person who's like a recommender? Because I was at the beginning and I was like liking it and it was great. I
think your testimonial is somewhere on the site.
Good, because I love it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about breast health, because I know that your sister does some breast massaging things or something, but like
we both do. She and I both does it.
Okay, so give our people here some tips about the boobs, because like that's a very under talked about thing. And like I recently during the pandemic have just completely given up on underwires. I am like all about the sports bra and about like, whatever, just because I'm kind of like, why am I doing this to myself? So give us some tips on this.
Amazing. So most of what I have learned about breast health has come from my teacher, Deanna Batdorf. She is the head of the Dhyana Center in Sebastopol. So if anybody is looking to learn more, I'm happy to share information, and you can also check her out. But basically, so Ayurveda is a lot about lymphatic health. And when we talk about lymphatic health, we're really talking about immunity. So our strength in immunity. And they're the same word, but it's confusing. The immune system and the lymph system. And Ayurvedically, that's really the seed of health, like the place that everything stems from. So it's called the rasa, or the river of life. So you really want your river of life flowing, and you want your lymphatic system in movement. It's also the only organ in the body that doesn't move itself. So you need to exercise to move the immune system.
Wait, you're talking about your lymphatic system doesn't move itself, or your like actual boobs? You got to move them.
Your lymphatic system.
Oh.
Your boobs could move. They don't totally move themselves, but it can do some good work.
Yeah.
Anyway, right under the armpit is also a huge area where lymph and lymph nodes and immune system exist, and same in the breast. And so this whole channel, the whole upper body, your main immune system actually drains right here, your lymph system. And so this whole area is a huge channel for your overall lymph health, which obviously is also in the breast. And those three areas that I just named, your breast, your armpits, and kind of this upper close to your breast area,
okay, the upper
are some
chest
of the areas we least touch or even talk about. And so I think breast health being connected to lymphatic health is a huge thing, especially when breast cancer is a huge thing. And when someone has breast cancer and it's removed, they often remove lymph nodes. And so just breast health in general can really support our lymph health. And things, you can get cysts in your breast, you can get swollen lymph in your breast. And if you don't know what that feels like, you can be scared that it's cancer or that it's something that shouldn't be there. But when you really know what to look for, then you can feel empowered in your own health. And I think for me, that's why breast massage is so beautiful. But also that most of the time that area of the female body is over-sexualized. It's either sexualized, highly sexualized, or used for breastfeeding. And so having nourishment of this area that's very non-threatening, that's just totally about you and nourishing yourself, is quite an amazing opportunity to have.
That is a really good point. It's like it's either utilitarian or it's like another kind of utilitarian. But so how, okay, so given that information, like how often would you recommend that people like massage those areas? And is there a particular method that you think that they should do it? And how, and like, give us a little, thingy.
Great.
A little
411.
A little
kind of 411.
Yeah.
Great. I would do it as regularly as you can. Sometimes when we move the lymph system, we can start to see slight bruising. So being gentle if that happens. Ayurveda says a certain level of uncomfort is okay, but if it reaches, and actually good for movement, but if it reaches a point of pain or you're pushing yourself too much, that's really when to stop. I am a big fan of cupping. It's actually a traditional Chinese medicine tool originally.
You mean that thing with those suction cups things that they
Yes.
But how
you can put those right on your armpits. You can put them on your boobs. It's not the nipple, although it's been done. And that's a great way to support the lymph system, as is another traditional Chinese medicine tool, the gua sha, which is a wooden tool, usually sometimes they're stone, that you can scrape your skin with, and that supports, you really want to scrape the skin until it's pink, and that supports lymphatic flow and movement. And so you can do that especially up here.
So like a body scrub.
Yes, a salt scrub would be great for the lymph system. And I think just taking time to get to know your breast tissue, what is normal for you, this is our outward expression of love in a way. It's our yang part of our body, where the yoni or pussy is the yin part of the
right,
of the body. And so how do we nourish that part which is very external?
Okay, so is this something that men would have to, because they have pectoral system, I guess they must have lymphatic systems going the same. Do they have to focus a little bit on this as well, or is this mainly just for females?
Yes, great question. Men also have a whole lymph system. They have an immunity. So similar channels are super important to tend to. You can totally perform breast or chest massage on men or non-binary folk. I think the key difference is that there's slightly less lymph in the male. Like that's partly why breast cancer is so much more common in women, also to do with estrogen and progesterone, but primarily men, it's still really important to open up the river of life and support that flow. But there's a little more, there's slightly less lymph in the actual breast tissue and less change in their breast tissue, right?
Okay. Good. The guys should know that then too. But yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I remember you and your sister like were offering, I think, workshops at one point about like certain breast exercises and stuff, right?
Yeah, not exactly, kind of a longer version of what I just shared about why breast health and lymphatic health is important.
Okay.
There is some beautiful tantric like Taoist practices about breast massage, which is all about more energetic and more about finding one's kind of sensual being in the world. I'm not as trained in them. I've performed them on myself, but in terms of workshops, it's been more educational of just like, how can we support women connect more and know more about what's normal in their breast tissue, when to really be concerned and maybe get something checked out, or why is the lymph system so important and how can we support that
yeah, I mean my sister-in-law had breast cancer about 5 years ago and she beat it, but then now she has lymphoma or something. Like one of her arms is like completely swollen and she's had to have some surgeries, and she's also has like huge problems with her lymphatic system as a result of, you know,
breast cancer
having breast cancer treatment and all that stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a real deal that I've seen up close and personal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think that's the thing with I mean, health in general. I think we're seeing what's happening right now in the health field and realizing like, okay, our modern medicine is amazing. We want that to exist. It's obviously a vital form of, you know, if I broke my leg, I want someone to set it in a good way. However, what it doesn't thrive in is preventative lifestyle support. So like, it's great when there's an acute issue ahead of you, but it's really actually not that good at helping you see the very early signs, or how can we actually prevent some of this stuff from happening? Like chronic conditions, not that breast cancer is a chronic condition, but cancers, lifestyle diseases, and pretty preventable things are the biggest killers of today's world. And those things require a totally new type of care and medicine than what previously we made huge potential leaps with, like penicillin or other medical advancements.
Right. So, okay, what would you recommend, like if a person has like what kind, like do you think that like just like anybody should go to Chicheck, like even healthy people? Because even I'm kind of going like, yeah, I mean, like even if you think you're the pinnacle of health, there's still things about yourself that are like, you know, like within Ayurvedic, you know, you could be a Vata or a Pitta or a Kapha or whatever. And so then like there's different ways that are more healthy to eat for each kind of type of dosha. So, you know, like I think even if you don't have any ailments or you're not even unhealthy, it's just a really good way to kind of check where you're at and to kind of get like a little bit of a different perspective of things that would be best for your body type.
Yes, I think that you're exactly right on. I think, you know, I'm an Ayurvedic coach, so I work with people on their diet at times. And even I like the perspective of another person. It's a lot easier to be, you know, even if that other perspective is only to confirm to you that your inner knowing was right. Yeah. And what you were doing was actually what's best for your body. But checking in, or kind of having that self-reflective moment that goes beyond the tricks of ourselves that make us kind of ignore the things that we're okay ignoring because we're healthy in these other ways. So to have someone just be with you in that process is very profound.
Very, 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 very cool.
Very cool.
I mean, yeah. Okay, so like what happened to the herbalist stuff? Because Near's an herbalist. Like he did some stuff in herbalism. So
Yes,
is that on there
herbalist,
too?
that's on there. That's my one of my favorite. I mean, it's all good. All practitioners have, if it's from their heart, it's probably good. But herbalism, I think, is such a beautiful integration into our life. Like we see it, it's the closest to just food and changing what we eat, but incorporating plants into our life. And people who have done that study, I think Aviva Ram is a very inspiring herbalist for me. She's a midwife and a trained doctor. So she has amazing dual perspective of the real power of, she mostly uses food and plants in her medical practice. And that is incredible. So I
Yeah.
forget what the question was, but
Or
yes,
no, are you going
herbalists
to
are
have like
there.
the like other those kinds of practitioners? And like
Yeah.
I think eventually you should, especially with some legalizations, that like plant medicine, a place to connect people to potential plant medicine, because
Yes,
that's also good for our chi.
we would love that. And we're waiting on the legality to follow suit. Or not follow suit. We'll follow once the legality is there.
For sure. For
We're
sure.
loving what MAPS is doing. They're doing
Yep,
incredible
I
work.
love maps. They're really cool.
Yeah.
I know that, there is legality, at least of psilocybin now in Colorado, and I believe Oregon just made everything legal. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Where
so
they
I mean,
decriminalized everything,
decriminalized, but I think
which
it's
is,
legal
it's a
in
big deal.
Colorado, right? Or is it just
I think
decriminalized?
I think so. Not, I don't remember. I know they also decriminalized mushroom possession in Oakland, California.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's pockets of things that's going on.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Also, I mean, you should do a podcast on that whole experiment of the rats. Have you heard about this one?
no, let me know.
The experiment with rats. I gave you little leeway to say that you've heard about it. So most of our processes with addiction, our scientific understandings have come from a study. This I got from a TED Talk. I cannot remember the name of this man. I'm sorry, someone, you can probably find it on TED Talk. But most of our research on addiction has come from studies where you put a rat in a cage and heroin and water. And 98% of the time the rat gets addicted to heroin. And so we, for a long time, drew the conclusion like, wow, all these drugs, whatever drug, you replace heroin with anything and the same thing happens. Okay, all these
Sugar.
drugs are very bad. Yeah. All these drugs are very bad, thus they should be criminalized. Now, one scientist then said, hey, wait a second, like what would happen if you put rats in a rat heaven with the same setup? So he does the same setup. There's a drug and a water, but the rats have lots of rats to play with. They have playgrounds. They have lots of other rats around. And what they found was that no rat actually got addicted, though most rats would occasionally sip from the drug. So they'd be like, oh, it's a party, or I need some enlightenment, or whatever. I had some process. It's time to take a little bit of the drug, but they actually would not become addicted. And this caused Portugal to actually, they saw what was happening in the United States with criminalizing more and more drugs. And they said, okay, it's not working. Portugal decriminalized all of their drugs and put all of that money that was going into fighting drugs into programs of support, rehabilitation, etc. Before this happened, they had a 1% use of heroin in their country. And within, I don't know, some crazy amount of time, it dropped in half. And I think that's really telling of what's possible with drug reform. And why is it that we're, someone who's isolated and alone and using a drug, then we punish them with jail rather than support them in whatever process they need, feeling more connected or creating their rat heaven. for.
Yeah, I mean, I believe our war on drugs is it's going to be looked down on, like, as, you know, like prohibition, and just like a very weird way that, you know, I mean, half of, like, I don't know what percentage it is now, but, you know, of our incarcerated criminals are in there for some kind of narcotic related thing. And we have the most of anybody in the world incarcerated, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. We all know some things, but like, there's some stuff and some things we all kind of know. But, you know, I mean, yeah, like I definitely, and it's done a lot to our psychology in terms of, I mean, I've taken a couple of psychedelics, and, you know, I've never done anything like heroin or anything, but I believe that some of the plant medicines are actually like here to help evolve our consciousness. And I feel like they're very healthy, and they're not addictive. Like, I've done them twice in my life, like this is like not something that I'd partake in every day or something. And it's not anything that, you know, whatever, but
and those things are known non-addictive, right? So like, if this is true for things that are addictive, think of things like LSD or mushrooms or these other substances that are not addictive inherently.
Yeah, like ayahuasca or DMT, those are not, yeah, exactly. Right. But, and, you know, whatever. Ray is where's that? What fancy school did you go to now? Did you graduate? Are you done?
I went to Stanford. I am done. I graduated with a degree. Thank you. Yes.
Congratulations.
I studied. Thank you. You were a big proponent of finishing, and it was a good advice.
Yes, I said they can never take the Stanford away from you. Do it, girl.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You and two other people on the island of Hawaii were big proponents, and I listened to you and was like, okay, they're right. They're on to something.
It's not a make or break you, but it's cool. It's like, now you might as well be like, here, this I'll do a little name drop. I'll put this one in the bucket. Like, that's what it's for, right? Okay. Like, I'm credentialed. Like, you know, you have to listen to me now, right. So do it.
Right.
You know?
Well, and now in studying to be like applying for midwifery programs, they're actually graduate programs. So to have finished school, even though I totally salute people who choose a different path, I think there's many ways to go. But now in the applying to graduate school process, it's actually like, oh, I'm glad that's there. I'm glad I don't have to worry about that first.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. Just, it's, I don't know, a lot of that stuff in life is hoop jumping. It's like, hey, can you jump this hoop? You want to jump the next one? Yeah. And certain hoops are worth jumping, certain ones aren't. And just kind of right. On what it is you want to do. I still really want you guys to eventually open your birthing center, because I think that would be bomb.
Yeah. That's a dream. It's a long-term vision. We're walking that direction. It'll happen, but thinking we'll probably lay the foundation in like 5 years.
That would be great. Maybe sooner. You never know. Chicheck could go like ba-boom.
I know. That's the plan. Please go ba-boom.
And I really do feel like, I mean, not even just because y'all are my friends, but like also just because like I'm into hippie stuff and cool stuff. It's not even like hippie stuff. It's just like I'm into like broadening my horizon, and I feel like this is a really, really important, it's a very relevant tool for right now, and it's a good tool to, you know, do some good in the world. So I thank you both so much for like putting it out there. That's awesome, you know?
Yes.
What a great use of energy.
It's not easy, but it's a pleasure.
Cool.